Have you ever been sitting next to your spouse, yet you felt you were in two different worlds? Same couch, or maybe going to bed, or maybe you were sitting in the living room and just having time together, but yet because of technology, you felt like you were just in a different place. It's not that technology is the enemy; it's the unintentional use of it. And today we're going to talk about that. We're more connected than ever before digitally, but many couples feel more disconnected relationally. Why is that? We're going to talk about that today and share some thoughts with you. Right, Suze? Suze?
I'm sorry, what? What did you say? What did you say?
Were you on your phone?
I'm so bad. I'm so sorry I missed it.
We're kidding. That was done on purpose. And hopefully this podcast will help you navigate technology and your marriage.
What started as a question, God, you created marriage, can you make it work? Soon became a statement. God, you created marriage, you can make it work. Thank you for joining us on the Christian Family Life Podcast, where we get into the good, the bad, and the ugly in our marriage relationships and mine God's word to see what it has to say about it.
Welcome to the Christian Family Life Podcast. We are so excited that you decided to join us, to listen in. Not sure what about the social media post drew you in, whether it was a picture or a line, but we're thrilled that you're here because what we're going to talk about today is very, very real.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things that's kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing. Like, how bad? I mean, you know, I'm looking up things on how to be a better wife. How bad could that be, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I'm spending hours a day looking that up and not actually being a better wife, then there's cause for concern.
So today we're going to tackle that. We're going to walk through that. My name is Gio, and this is my wife, Susie. And one more week without Roland and Tammy, but we're ready for them to be back.
We are.
They will be back at the next episode, and then we'll tackle the podcast together with them. We miss them. They're doing great. So we just want to make sure we throw that out there. But yeah, they always add a great insight to the podcast. But today, Susie and I were just talking about this. This is the reason I think that we are wanting to have this conversation is because we fall in that trap every so often. You know, whether it's a video game on your phone, whether it's, you know, searching Instagram or Facebook and, you know, following up. And again, we don't want to say technology is evil. There's great uses for it, but I think that it can become addictive, and it could become one of those things like you mentioned earlier, Suze, where we're scrolling, where we're looking at things, and they're all positive things, but maybe even sometimes those positives aren't really helpful in the everyday real life that we live. You know, we're checking notifications mid-sentence. I know that I'm a culprit of this. When we're having a conversation, you and I, my phone dings, and I look, and whether it's a text or something, I'm like, let me check it real quick. That's not good. Because we're in the middle of the conversation. Ending the day on devices instead of together. And so what it does, it creates an emotional distance. We were talking about this earlier, the water cooler days, you know, when there was no technology really in this way, that you would go to work and you would gather around the water cooler, and you would get emotional attachment to people rather than your spouse. And that was the negative.
Yeah.
Add upon now, there's so many people that work remotely, so you don't no longer have the water cooler, but you have the digital water cooler. let's call it that, to where we're getting emotionally attached to it, to people. And so, you know, emotional distance rarely happens overnight. It's built slowly, kind of like the song that says it's a slow fade. It's not overnight. It's the patterns that we put ourselves in as we move forward.
Yeah. I think the thing is with this is small things add up throughout the day, right? It's not necessarily always, although it could be, but it's not always this one big chunk of time where somebody can point to the calendar into the day and say, hey, look, 2 hours you were absent from me because you were on your phone. But it's here and there and here and there. And it adds up. And usually one or both. It's funny because this is one of those things where you can so clearly see the defect in your spouse, but you're like, well, I don't do that. But on the flip side, your spouse can see it in you, and then they feel the rejection. And so it's almost one of those ones that plays off one another. Well, I mean, if they're not into conversation right now, why should I be? And or I don't know if I want to go through the trouble of trying to start this back up because emotional connection, let's replace that. Live emotional connection is messy. It's hard. Like it requires vulnerability. It requires opening yourself up to possible rejection, possible accountability. And so I think sometimes it's just easier to hide behind a screen where people don't know all your stuff. They can't call you out. You can create a fake persona, but with your spouse, there's that realness. And when it's done properly, what it leads to is beautiful.
Yeah. We talk about the emotional side of it, intimacy. We talk about spiritual intimacy and physical intimacy. And all three of those areas take a hit.
All of them.
When we allow this type of emotional connection to usurp all those.
Yeah.
And God did not intend that.
He didn't.
He intended for this to be between a husband and wife, which is why he says the two shall become one flesh. And so basically we're becoming one with our phones.
Yeah.
We're becoming one with, the thousands of people that we follow and the content that's out there. And so we've got to be super careful about that process and how we go about it. Again, there's good things that can come out from that. But I heard this phrase and I thought it was pretty powerful. What gets your attention gets your affection. And so are we getting our spouse's attention or are we getting social media's attention? And that's where our affection is going. There's a verse in scripture in Matthew 6:21 that says, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And so if we're not looking at our spouse as a treasure from God, going back to that second faith principle and to becoming one, we say the word gift, but let's go bigger. Let's say treasure.
Yeah.
Your spouse is a treasure from God. And so therefore that's where our heart should be, is in that relationship, getting that emotional connection, spiritual connection and physical connection, not from social media.
No, Paul says in Ephesians, be careful then how you live, making the most of every opportunity. I think if you were to go back to the King James, it says walk circumspectly. Just analyzing every step that you take and ask yourself, is this bringing health to my marriage? Because if it's not, I think it was, I don't remember where Roland shared, we had an event where Roland shared that within marriage, there is no neutrality. Mm-hmm. If you are not intentionally striving towards health, towards romance, towards intimacy, I'm not saying achieving it every day at the optimal level. I'm just saying thinking that way, being intentional about your thoughts. The drift does not leave you in the same place. Yeah. It takes you to the negative. It takes you away from all those things that are literally designed to make your marriage work more smoothly. It's almost like, I don't know, I'm not a big car person, but from what I hear, the oil is pretty important, right? It's what keeps. It's what
Which,
keeps.
by the way, I think we
all-
need to change our oil here
we,
soon.
we need to get on that. I'll put a reminder in my phone. But it's what keeps everything running smoothly, right? When the oil goes, the parts aren't gone. But what kept everything running smoothly is no longer present, and you don't function. You can't even say that you don't function at an optimal level. Like you're actively destroying the car. Destroying. And that's, I think, when you aren't intentional for those things in your marriage, of the different types of intimacy, you are actively wearing away at
Yeah.
your marriage,
Yeah.
and it's not bringing health.
Yeah. A gift that you can bring to the table to your spouse is your
Oh.
attention. I don't want to call it the greatest gift, because I think there's a
Right.
lot of gifts that we can bring to
Yeah,
our
I
spouse,
agree.
that are not, not that we wrap it up in a box or anything, although those are nice too. I know that you are a gift person.
I am.
And so I usually just save it for the big ones. Like, I get you a lot of them, but I need to do better. Because I know I like it when you receive it, because you are really excited when you receive a gift.
I am. Always have been.
But let's look at the gifts that we give each other from a sense of on the emotional side.
Yeah.
The gift of attention. How many times growing up, whether it was our parents, whether it was friends at school, teachers, and we didn't feel like we were getting attention, what did we end up doing? We end acting out.
Yeah.
To get some kind of attention.
Yeah.
And so the greatest gift we can give is this attention, but we have to take personal inventory and be honest with ourselves and say, where is my attention going? And
Right.
is it going to my friends?
Right.
Is it going to social media? Is it even going to strangers online?
Yeah.
I don't even know how it works, but there's chat rooms that I hear that people get into, and they start dialoguing with people they don't know. And that sends you down a road that you're creating emotional intimacy with somebody you don't even know.
Yeah, and to take that even a further step, and we don't need to dwell here, but there are now, forgive me for not knowing the languages, but digital personalities that you can connect with that aren't even real people.
Oh, wow.
But you can converse with, and you can create an emotional connection with that they don't even exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're creating false intimacy is really what you're doing with all that. You think you're feeling heard.
Yeah.
But you're not.
It's this idea, and I really like this term because I think it can hit so many pieces. It's this idea of emotional outsourcing.
Yeah.
Right? So go back to the baseline fact of we need emotional connection.
Yeah.
We need it. And so we've already determined that real life, in person, someone that you live with that sees all your high points, but also your low points, it's hard. Like, to create emotional connection and sustain it and build it is messy, and it's hard and requires humility and forgiveness and grace and all the things that our spouse, out of all the people on this earth deserve, first should go to our spouse.
Yeah.
Right? But when that messiness causes you to avoid it, you still need the emotional connection. So you go looking for it elsewhere. And that's scary. We just talked about that.
Well, I think that just for clarity's sake, we know, because within this podcast, we always point to our relationship with God.
Always.
And that's where everything is going to stem from. And so generally, if there's an emotional issue here, it's because there's a disconnect here with the Lord. And so
that would be, for those that are just listening, if there's a disconnect between husband and wife, then there's usually a disconnect between the spouse and their relationship with the Lord.
Right. And so we're bringing it more down into the practical today of husband and wife. That's why we're saying that. But the ultimate source is to be drawn from the Lord.
Yes.
That's going to give you what you need in those messy times to be able to connect with your spouse. But we're in a throwaway society. We're in this idea of if it's not a quick hit of an intimacy fulfillment with you, I know I can find it somewhere else. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go wherever to fulfill that.
Yes. And it happens. It happens almost immediately. And then what ends up happening is your marriage relationship feels empty.
Yeah.
And it's like, why am I going back to that? Why am I that's hard. That doesn't bring it, he or she doesn't bring anything to the table.
Yeah.
I mean, I can sit down and within 5 minutes, I'm in deep conversation and this person is asking me questions and is interested in me. And it's like, well, this doesn't bring me much joy.
Yeah.
The whole Marie Kondo idea. If it doesn't spark your joy, get rid of it. Now she's referring to clutter and clothing and different things, but I think the mindset transcends.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think in years ago, and I'm talking the old school days when there was no phone and no internet connection and stuff, it was a little bit longer of a process to get that hit.
Yeah.
Nowadays you're getting the hit immediately. And it's a false hit, but it's so disguised in truth, like in a false truth that, is that a way to say that? False truth.
Yeah.
But it's not real. It's the mirage. It's the picture of those cartoons where the guy's in the desert and he's running and he sees water and he's like, that's where I'm going to get my source. And he dives, and then next thing he finds out, he's got a mouthful of sand. That's what happens is we get a mouthful of sand, builds up to the point where I think subconsciously we start to search and we start to, get on our phones.
Yeah.
Don't even realize we're doing it sometimes. It's we're reacting now to a habit, and it is addicting. And so we've got to be careful with that. There's a verse, I think, in this process of shifting. So that's why let's go to that because we have just a few more minutes left.
Yeah.
Shifting from, okay, we get it. We're stuck in this emotional trap that is not connected to our spouse, but is connected to whether it's technology or other things that's not our spouse. And Ephesians 4:25 says, each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully. I think the first thing is we've got to speak truthfully about this.
Yeah.
Are we stuck? Not our spouse, because we would easily say you're stuck. Am I stuck here? And then can we speak truthfully to each other about where we're stuck? So first thing is go to the Lord as the scripture teaches to search your heart and see where you're at and be honest with yourself, and say, yeah, you know what? I am stuck. Have the conversation with your spouse, give them the opportunity to share the same thing, and both of you speaking truth to each other. And so the scripture says each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we all are members of one body. And so breaking the cycle is what's going to be important right there. And I think it starts by having communication.
Yeah.
And maybe me even asking you, Sue, do you see this in me? And you say,
Right.
yeah, you know what? Every time we sit down, you're immediately checking your emails and it's not working hours or whatever.
Right.
Whatever it may be.
Yeah, because once you seek to break the cycle, then Hebrews says, let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, encouraging one another. I think sometimes accountability gets a negative stigma.
Yeah.
Because it's like call you out, point the finger, shine the light. But it's for the sole purpose of encouraging and course correcting.
Yeah.
It's not to shame or make somebody feel bad, but it's to get back onto the right track. And so to do that, I think it's important that we set boundaries.
Yeah.
But instead of looking at boundaries as restrictive, boundaries are protective, right? Instead of I can't go outside of these, it's like, oh, these boundaries are protecting me, which is why it's important that your boundaries are set with a good mind, with biblical background, with connection with one another. Like I can't make a boundary and then force it on you.
Right.
We come to these together. And so what are some practical things that we could do?
Yeah. And we'll close with this because I think it's important to have those, like as we walk through this and recognize this, okay, this is a problem.
Yeah.
This is something that's keeping us from connecting emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And so I think one of them is, during a mealtime,
No phones.
put them away. Like be engaged during a meal and have conversation. And we just talked about this at a conference we just did. Maybe it's going to be good for you right at the front to buy a box of cards
Conversation starters.
that are conversation starters.
Yeah.
Or just go online
No.
before the meal,
Print them out.
print them out and bring them to the table and just get rid of the phone during the meals.
Yeah. What about this? This is a hard one. Put your devices away 30 to 60 minutes before bed. The health benefits that come there's a lot as far as the blue light and different things like that. But right now we're talking about emotional connection. Can you imagine what would happen across this country if people put their phones away as they were falling asleep and actually engaged in conversation, or let's just even go there, physical intimacy, as opposed to having the glow of the dark and the light.
I'm putting my phone down 3 hours before bedtime.
You put it down.
Designate connection time, like outside of the meal, outside of the, hey, what are you doing today? Setting your schedule, but 15, 20 minutes a day, maybe sit on the back porch or find a spot where you guys can the daily temperature reading is one of those things that helps with that connection time, but
just be interested in each other.
Yeah.
What's going on in your life that I might not know about, or that I can celebrate with you, or what's happening in your life right now that maybe is causing you some fear and angst, and you're trying to protect me by holding it inside. That's not going to happen. What do they say? They say a joy shared is a joy multiplied, but a sorrow shared is a sorrow divided. And so when you have that emotional connection, when we celebrate, it just gets bigger. But when we share the sorrows, we each get to take a part of them and then help each other.
Yeah.
And navigating and walking through those.
Well, and I think it builds into other areas. For example, prayer time in your marriage, where you can pray to celebrate and thank the Lord, but you can also pray over the things that maybe are hangups or struggles that each other have. And to be able to hear those, because I think sometimes because we're so distracted with a million things, including technology, we get together and we're not even asking each other the questions. No. And so you can go days, even weeks, or I can go days and even weeks where we haven't even shared anything important or prominent in our lives. And there comes a day where you feel like you're carrying it all by yourself.
Yeah, and you're just like, my spouse isn't interested.
Right.
And that might be a fair assumption, but it might not be.
It may just be that you don't give each other a chance to be interested.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna close it down. All right, let's go to a core takeaway here.
Okay.
Technology is a tool. It will amplify whatever direction your marriage is already heading. If you're intentional, it strengthens connection. If you're passive, it creates distance. So don't be passive.
Don't be passive. Please don't be passive in your marriage.
And be on. Like, I think the big thing is the honesty piece.
Yeah.
Being honest with yourself. Like, is this really gripping me? And we don't like to admit those type of things.
We don't.
But just take an inventory. I think that one of the things that you can do is look at your screen time. It'll tell you how long you've been on there. And that should be alarming if it's, I don't even want to put a time frame on it, but equate that to the amount of time that you're actually intentionally spending time with your spouse.
Yeah.
Not just around them, but actually engaging with them.
I fear the difference would be shocking.
It would be convicting. And I think that's, we're not here to convict people. That's the Holy Spirit's role. But we are here to highlight the issues. And we only share this because we've fallen into these cycles.
For sure.
And we find ourselves there sometimes, and we got to take this to pause and put into practice some of the things that the Lord is revealing to us, and putting the phone away, those type of things, and engaging.
Show preference to your spouse over all things.
Yeah. The scripture says, we'll close with this, 1 John 3:18. Let us not love with words or speech, but with action and in truth. And so, let's not just say,
Put
hey,
the phone down.
This sounds like a good idea. Let's do this, and then not do it.
Yeah.
So we want to challenge you. Put the phone down. Spend more time with your spouse. Ask the questions. Engage. Date again. Find out maybe something that you haven't known about your spouse, and hopefully it'll bring more of that emotional, spiritual, and physical intimacy back into your marriage. I want to thank you for joining us and for being a part of this podcast. If you were encouraged, challenged, or whatever, share it with somebody. If you know of anybody that may be going through the same type of things.
Except for your spouse. Don't send this one to your spouse.
No. Invite your spouse to watch this with you again or listen to it with you. But yeah, share it with somebody. We are a listener supported ministry. We are a faith-based ministry. And so not only with the digital content, but what we do here domestically and globally is dependent on people like you. And so if you would love to get behind the work that's happening, we would highly encourage it from a standpoint that this allows us to keep doing what we're doing to strengthen marriages, to help young couples and couples that are struggling and all those type of things here with our team domestically, but then with our team globally as well. Thank you. Go to our website, christianfamilylife.com. More information there about what we do and how we do it. And thank you again for joining us on this podcast. God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to the Christian Family Life Podcast. Be sure to subscribe. To learn more about the ministry, visit our website, christianfamilylife.com. There, you can subscribe to our newsletter and find all of our social media links, where we offer resources to help strengthen your marriage. Until next time, remember, God created marriage. He can make it work.